Hello and welcome to Hardball Sports. Here we talk about sports and 90s sports movies. We have a great time doing it and would love if you'd stick around to join in on the fun. We love our Detroit teams and we are homers, but we try to cover everyone else fairly. And now it's time for the next episode of Hardball Sports Talk, brought to you by Hardball Sports Media. And here are your hosts, Brandon and Alex. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode of Hardball Sports Talk. My name is Brandon, and joining me, like always, is my good friend Alex. Alex, despite everything that happened yesterday, how are you doing today?
Well, Brandon, I'm actually pumped right now because I've been waiting all day since you told me this. The floor is yours, and let's hear this rant, buddy, because I'm ready for it. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're not going to start with that. But I'm going to tell you guys right now. After the game last night, my phone was blowing up with Packer fans, and I nagged Packer fans a little bit, so they were giving it back to me, and rightfully so. So I'm sorry for all the things I said to you guys. Not really, but I'm still apologizing. So my phone was blowing up with Packer fans, and then you scroll on Facebook and you see all these Lions fans. I'm gonna go with Lions fans because I don't think any of them are actually Lions fans. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now.
That's smart.
Yep. I don't think half these Lions fans are Lions fans. And so I'm gonna go and rant in a little bit about these people. But we're gonna save that till we actually get to the Lions game. We're gonna spend a lot more time on that because we are both Lions fans. One of us has a hot head, and that would be me. And so, but we're not going to start there. We're going to start with the Chiefs and the Ravens. This game, I watched probably the first half of it. I have a rule with my wife. She's not a huge sports fan that if she's home, I watch my team. And if she's taking a nap, I'm allowed to watch other games just so she doesn't have to suffer. So I watched the first half of this game while she was napping. And I listened a little bit on the radio because we went somewhere to watch the Lions game last night. And really, I don't think Kansas City was the better team. I just think that Baltimore kept shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I'll say. And they kind of talked about it during the broadcast. The Ravens wanted to be aggressive. They wanted to hit Mahomes, make him know everything. Problem is, they were too aggressive, and like you said, kept shooting themselves in the foot, kept getting stupid penalties. Granted, there was some controversy with the referee who, the road team wins 55% of the time that he refs. Not that that's an excuse.
No.
But when there's stats out there like that, then you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I thought as much as the aggression I like from the Ravens, I thought they're a little too aggressive at times, and ended up costing them the game, honestly.
Yep. And like I'm all for aggressiveness, which we'll get when we talk about the Lions, we'll get to that. But you just gotta be smart with your aggressiveness. Like you don't need to be taking, for example, on the last drive for the Chiefs, you start at the 25-yard line. The first play, you have 12 men on the field. You're coached by a Hardball, and you have one of the best defense coordinators in the league. You shouldn't have 12 guys on the field, first off.
No.
Like, you can't blame the rest for that one either. I know a lot of people are like, well, the rest favor Mahomes, and to an extent they do. And then I didn't see the play, but then they had a 15-yard personal foul, and the radio guys were like, yeah, you can't do that. Like, you can't even give the ref the option to throw that flag. And so they were making it sound like the guy did something. I didn't see that. I only heard it on the radio.
Was that the longest yard clothesline, maybe?
Maybe. They didn't say what happened, and again, I didn't see it. I just know it was on the last drive. It was the first play, they got the too many men on the field. And then the second play, they had a 15-yard personal foul. So basically, before the Chiefs even snapped the ball, they're 20 yards down the field. They're at the 45 instead of the 25. Like, you're not going to, So, but the Chiefs, once again, are in the Super Bowl, which, I guess this is this is the year that I'm probably the most impressed with the Chiefs, actually, because all year long it's been where are the Chiefs, and like they still haven't shown up.
Right.
Like they have not played their best game of football yet this year, and that's a scary thought if you're a 49ers fan right now, because the Chiefs, like, they're winning without playing really good football for their
Right.
standards.
Right.
So, but we'll see what happens there. So before we keep going here, I'm gonna give you guys a quick preview of the schedule for the next couple weeks. I probably should have started out with that. But what we're gonna do is today we're doing basically a quick recap of the AFC game, and then I'm gonna go on my rant about the NFC game.
Yeah.
Wednesday, assuming, which I thought we'd have a coaching hire or two by now, to be honest with you, with the Seahawks and the Commanders. So I have no idea what's going on there. The names I've been hearing with them both lost yesterday. And then the Commanders go out and say, hey, let's interview like 4 more people today.
Right.
So I don't really know what's going on there. So
I have a theory about that too, but
what's your theory on that?
It kind of has to do with the Lions game. Now, granted, not all of it's on him, but the second half offensive adjustments by Ben Johnson would scare me as an actual head coach.
Yeah, but how many times have we seen that with, for example, Patricia in the Super Bowl that one year, and then the Lions still decided he was the guy. So I think one performance. I don't know if one performance really makes that much of a difference on a team. I guess it could, but
I meant like overall. I felt times that Ben Johnson, and granted, I don't know how much adjustments he makes compared to Campbell, and obviously we can get into that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll wait till the Lions game to tell you what I told my wife.
Anyways, and then on Wednesday we're gonna do. What did I tell you we're gonna do on Wednesday?
There was coaching hires if there were any.
Coaching, yeah. So we're gonna basically react to the coaching hires, assuming that we have them all. If not, we'll just react to the ones that we have. Monday we will do a preview of the Super Bowl, I believe. Yeah, we'll do a preview of the Super Bowl. No, Monday. Okay, it's the championship. It's the awards.
Yeah,
awards. I'm like all frustrated.
Here's it's all right. You're about ready to rant. Let me just make it easy for you.
Yeah.
Basically, Wednesday is potential coaching hires if any are done, and anything we want to recap. The following Monday will be the ranking the coaching hires, assuming that they're all full by then, and potential awards, and then that Wednesday will be the Super Bowl preview. Tentative plans, I should say, because you know how our schedules can be at times.
And the sports world really loves throwing wrinkles at us too. So
especially when we want to plan something and then we have to wait, or we have to change it based on what happens. So.
And then after that, we are planning a big movie series. We're pretty excited about that. We have one guest lined up, potentially more. I'll leave it at that, but we're working on other people right now, and it's kind of pretty cool who we're working with. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But hopefully I can give you guys an announcement on that here shortly. We'll find out, though. Moving on, though, to what we're all here for. The Lions lost 34-31 last night. And so this game, we'll just do a recap of the game real quick. The first half, nothing could go wrong for the Lions. The second half, nothing could go right for the Lions. And that's pretty much what happened. So, like I said, I went somewhere else to watch this game, and I was driving home at halftime, and I had it on the radio, the halftime show, and they said, hey, the last time the Lions won a road playoff game was in 1957 against the San Francisco 49ers. And the score at halftime was the San Francisco 49ers 24, the Detroit Lions 7. And then the Lions came back and won in the second half. I heard that. I go, you got to be kidding me. Bobby Layne, are you doing this to me right now? You got to be kidding me. And then sure enough,
I was going to say, do you think people know who Bobby Layne are? Should you maybe explain who that is real quick?
Yeah, we probably should. So if you are not familiar with the name Bobby Layne, first off, I'm jealous of you. Second off, I'm going to ruin that for you right now, because if I have to suffer, you have to suffer. Bobby Layne was a Lions quarterback in the 1950s. And believe it or not, the Lions were the team of the NFL in the 1950s. They were the best team in the league. They won multiple championships. Actually, them and the Browns. Like, the two teams that are a joke of the league now dominated the 50s. Don't believe me? Go look it up. Well, the Lions decided, hey, you know what? we appreciate your services, Bobby Layne, but we're not in the market for it wasn't a Super Bowl, but for sake of conversation, we'll say Super Bowl winning quarterback. We're not in the market for a Super Bowl winning quarterback anymore. We're going to trade you to the Steelers. And Bobby Layne basically puts a curse on the organization for 50 years. This trade happened in 1959. And Bobby Layne goes out and says, yep, you guys are cursed for the next 50 years. 50 years after Bobby Layne puts this curse on the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Lions go 0-16. And they get a draft pick, number 1 overall, and they take Matthew Stafford from the University of Georgia. Why am I telling you about Matthew Stafford when we're talking about Bobby Layne? Oh, it gets great. Do you know about this?
No, but I feel like this is a pre-rant to your rant, so I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this. So continue.
Yeah. I can't think of the name of the high school off the top of my head right now. Oh, where did Stafford go to high school? It was
Somewhere
in Texas. It was in Texas.
He was teammates with Clayton Kershaw. If you didn't know that,
he was teammates with Clayton Kershaw. He went to the same high school as Bobby Layne. They grew up on the same street. So you have this curse, and then 50 years, and he said you're going to be cursed for 50 years. And then the organization goes out, and I'm sure they did not know this. Like, I would hope they don't draft somebody based on what street they lived on. It's the Lions. They drafted somebody based on what street they lived on. And Stafford was supposed to break the curse. And then Stafford breaks his shoulder basically his rookie year and then doesn't stay healthy for the first 4 years of his career. And it's just, can't stay healthy. And then all of a sudden, he becomes like the toughest gun in the league. And he's a gunslinger, and you're going to live with the gunslinger, you're going to die with the gunslinger. And, well, basically, long story short, the Lions end up trading Stafford to the Rams, and Stafford would never lifted the curse on us. So Lions start over again because that's what they do is start over. And then Jeff Daniels, the actor, he goes on a TV show with Peyton Manning. I am not making this up. This really happened. And him and Peyton Manning, they Google how to get rid of a curse. And they bring a bathtub onto Ford Field, and they do some kind of ceremony with this bathtub in the middle of Ford Field to basically get rid of the curse of Bobby Layne. And then the team starts winning after this happens. And everyone's like, holy crap, Bobby Layne is gone. And then yesterday happened. And Bobby Layne was having a day with me, and I texted you some of the stuff I'm not going to say on the podcast, but you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. And when that happened, I just started laughing my head off. I go, you are one son of a dirty person, Bobby Layne. Like, I don't swear, and I didn't last night, I promise. But, man, I was cursing out the name of Bobby Layne last night. And so everyone's going to sit here and say it was Dan Campbell, it was the receivers, it was blah, blah, blah. No, it wasn't. It was Bobby Layne, and we all know it. So that's the Bobby Layne part of the rant. So now we're going to talk about what everyone was talking about on Facebook last night, and that is Dan Campbell. And I saw Packer fans, Bear fans, Viking fans, Lions fans all saying, why doesn't Campbell kick the ball? And I'm like, have you not watched a Lions game in 3 years? Like, honestly, have we not been watching the Lions for the last 3 years? The guy doesn't like his kicker, clearly. And like, if you're at the if this happened at like the 12-yard line, we'll say 12-yard line with 4th and 5, and he's going for it, I'm right there with you. I got my picture for it. I'm ready to go. But this is at the 30-yard line, around that area.
Somewhere, yeah. It would have been, I think, around 43 to 47.
I know the second one was 48.
Okay, so the first one was 43. And just to throw some numbers at people on why Campbell didn't trust Badgley. For his career from 40 to 48, Badgley is 77%.
Yeah.
From the career. The
and that's
league
not good.
No, the league average this year, and I looked it up, from 40 to 49 was 88% was the league average.
Yeah. So Campbell's got a kicker that he can't trust. And that's been the issue for the Lions basically all season. They had Riley Patterson who couldn't kick an extra point. There was a game I think he missed 2 extra points, which I understand they backed up the extra point to the 15-yard line now. I believe it's where the start's at. So, and they did it for that reason, to make it a little bit more difficult and make it so people wouldn't leave their seats, go grab a cold one during the field goal. I get that. But still, you can't be missing at the rate he was. So they decided to go with Badgley. And Badgley was able to hit the extra points, but he has no range. Now, he did make a 48-yard field goal against the Rams, I believe, in the first round. So, but that was in a dome at home where the crowd's on your side.
Yeah. And by the way, that was his only kick from 40 to 49 for 2023 was that kick.
So now you're in an environment that's not your home field, outdoors. I don't know how windy it was in San Francisco last night, but we'll assume there was some wind. I understand why everyone's saying kick the ball, but again, have you not watched the Lions for the last 3 years?
No, they
haven't. The reason why we were in that game last night is because of the mindset that Dan Campbell set week 1 against the Kansas City Chiefs and doing a fake punt at his own 25-yard line or 27, whatever it was, inside his own 30. And then Chris Collinsworth on the call goes, who does that? Like that, he just set the tone for the entire season. It works. We all love it. It doesn't work. We hate it. And the comparison I have for this, and I didn't tell you this one because I basically didn't tell you anything because I wanted your live reaction.
No. Yes, I love these rants from you, and I'm glad you didn't tell me any of it.
So the comparison I came up with today was I love baseball. I have 800 baseball hats next to me. I'm wearing one right now. We're going to go into baseball mode here in a couple weeks. I love baseball. The comparison I gave is in baseball, once a pitcher goes through the lineup, they say 2 times, you probably should change your pitcher. So this is the comparison I gave. Your pitcher went through the roster lineup 2 times. You're in the 6th inning. Your bullpen absolutely sucks. Like, you're up 3-1 and your bullpen sucks. Like, you have a closer and an 8th inning guy maybe, but outside that, your bullpen sucks. Your starter is at 75, 80 pitches, and you got the 3, 4, 5 hitters up. What do?
You keep your starter in.
You keep your starter in there.
He gives you the best chance to win that game, even if you are, say you're down 3-1. He still gives you the best chance to win that game.
So let's say now that they get a couple runs off them. Was that the right move, leaving your starter in there?
Yeah.
And that's the comparison I'm giving people here is just because the results didn't work doesn't mean it was the wrong move.
Right.
Everyone is so results focused, and I get it. At the end of the day, they only care if you won or you lost the game. I get that. I get that. But if he sends out Badgley and Badgley goes wide right and San Fran starts with ball at the 46-yard line, everyone's like, why'd he kick that ball? It's Dan Campbell. He's been going for it all year. We're all the exact same people are going to be saying the exact same thing.
Oh, and they did, by the way, at the end of the first half when he sent out the field goal at the end.
Yeah. So.
Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. It's one of those things where damned if I do, damned if I don't. I love the aggressiveness of Dan Campbell. There's times of it where it's like, all right, let's just kick the field goal here. Or like with Dallas, the Dallas thing cracks me up because he went for it, got it. He went for it, got it, but there's a penalty. Then Dallas got a penalty. And then instead of kicking the field goal like God wanted him to do, basically, it looked like, he went for it again, got another penalty. So, there's a time and place to be mad at him, and I get that, but at the same time, you have to understand who he is. And that's who Dan Campbell is. He's just an aggressive coach. That's why he's in this game. because he just pushes buttons and he's
It's like
aggressive.
his motto that he kinda brought up this year, or not motto, I guess one word, and grit. Like, that's
Mhm.
what he coaches, is grit. Grinding down, being aggressive, doing all the dirty work, the
Yep.
grit, you know?
So I don't know. Like I understand why if you've never watched a Lions game, if that's why I put the Lions quotes in air quote
Yeah.
Lionsman air quotes because it's like what Lions team have you been watching the last year and a half, 3 years really? This is who he is.
Mhm.
That's why I put that in air quotes because I don't think they've actually watched a game.
Right.
Now the other fan bases, I will give them a pass because I'm guessing unless the Lions played their team or were on a primetime game, they probably didn't watch a whole lot of Lions football the last couple of years.
Right.
So I'm going to give the other fan bases a pass because I don't think they watch the Lions every week. So you guys get a pass. If you're not a Lions fan and you were judging Dan Campbell, I'm going to give you a pass because I don't think you understand how aggressive this dude is. But that's why the Lions were in that game last night. That's why they were up 24-7 at halftime because Dan Campbell's got the mentality of we're going to go and we're going to go hard.
Mhm.
And we're in a group text. This is my last part of this rant, and we'll move on to
Yeah, I wanna
something
add
else.
to the end of this,
Yeah.
by the way. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
So we're in a group text, me and Alex are, in our fantasy football league, and the Packer fans were running their mouth last night, and I kept on reminding them that they lose to San Francisco every year too. But they didn't like that apparently. I don't know why, but they're like, that's not relevant. I go, you guys started it, so whatever, it is relevant.
Right.
I'm sorry. Anyways, so what I said in this, I said Dan Campbell is Brett Favre. And what I mean by that is Brett Favre threw some balls up that you're like, what on earth are you doing? And then sometimes his guy would come down with it, and sometimes the defender would come down with it. And the comparison there is you live and die with the gunslinger. And
Yeah.
that's what the Lions do, is they're gonna live and die with Dan Campbell. And yeah. So that is what my Dan Campbell rant. And so no, to answer the question right there, Dan Campbell is not at fault for this game. The players dropping passes and missing tackles and fumbling
Mhm.
footballs and letting
Mhm.
footballs hit their helmet and yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's
what
pretty
lost this game. Not the not kicking the ball.
No, that has nothing to do with why they lost. And you know what my favorite part of our group chat was? Well, I won't say the name, but someone mentioned you kick 2 field goals, you win the game. If Jake
No,
Moody makes that field goal in the first, it's a tie game, and we don't know what happens.
yeah,
So I don't wanna hear about the 2 field goals and you win the game
yeah.
because
Well, and again, we're
Badgley
talking.
easily could have missed a field goal as well. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
not the
they were not
oh,
gimmies. They were not
yeah.
gimmies.
They're not gimmies, they're not the extra point from the 2-yard line. This is a guy
This is
who was
sucks
picked
from
up on
40
waivers.
plus.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but yeah.
that is my Dan Campbell rant, and I'll probably have another rant or two in me by the end of this episode. We'll see what happens because I am on 2.5 hours of sleep. My stupid cats decided to keep me up last night, so it was a great time. So I'm already on edge with that, and then I'm dealing with Packer fans all day, so I'm a little on edge right now. Moving on, the Lions defense. The first half, this defense, now it wasn't a perfect half, but
Mm-mm,
for how bad the Lions defense has been, that was the best half you could ask for out of them. They shut down McCaffrey,
mhm,
and I've been saying it all along, and I've been catching a lot of flack from a lot of people. I'm not saying Brock Purdy's a bad quarterback. I'm just saying Brock Purdy's not going to carry you. And the Lions kind of did that. They're like, Brock Purdy, you beat us, we dare you. And he would
he
and
did.
but here's the thing. Here's in the first half, they had their hands up and they were
Mhm,
knocking down passes. Second half, they kept their hands on their side. Why? Like nobody was putting their hands up on for trying to block a stupid pass. The first half, they had like what 3 or 4 blocked passes, I think. And they got
yeah,
an
that
interception off
yeah,
one of them.
yeah,
Yeah. Second half, it didn't look like they were trying to bat the ball down.
mm-mm,
So I don't get that. But and then the other thing, I don't notice who's on the field because, well, one, camera angles, you can't really tell what numbers on the field and
Yeah.
when.
Yeah.
But one of the talking heads, I don't remember which one it was saying, I think it was Olsen, was saying the Lions are basically putting the defense on for down and distance and not for personnel, which against San Francisco, I think that's the way to defend San Francisco.
Yeah.
Second half.
He was
Second
basically
half. Yeah.
saying, they don't match up, they just play based on the down and distance.
Yeah.
So, at times, you'll have 4 of your safeties or I guess 3 safeties because they kinda consider branch safety at times. You'll have 3 safeties on the field or 4 because you got Iffy as well, based on the down and distance. So, you're not matching up players, you're matching up yardage.
Which against San Francisco, that's how you got to defend them
Yeah, because I mean,
because
they have
McCaffrey's a wide receiver. I mean, he's a
wide
wide
receiver,
receiver
yeah.
that plays running back.
Yeah.
So that when they switched it to basically matching up personnel, I was like, why? Like, you guys were doing, like, I understand you got to make adjustments. I get that. But, like, that was not the adjustment to make.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know, again, I don't know, because I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know who does the adjustments, Campbell or Glenn. But there was a couple of coaching decisions in this game that I am a little more irritated at than going for it on 4th down, and that is one of them. Changing up the defensive philosophy in the second half.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, missing tackles, the one catch where it hits the defender's helmet and goes in the guy's arm, that's just dumb luck. That's just.
So I wanted to bring that up, because I kind of looked this up. I went through the play-by-play and looked it up. That play before that should have been interception to Ayuk, who was just standing there.
Yeah.
That play before should have got at least a 2 or 3 yard loss, but because of missed tackles, it gained a 17 yards for Debo. And that was the whole second half is the missed tackles and literally balls going through the defender's hands, or in this case, off a face mask.
Yeah. So it was just a tale of two halves for the defense. It was one of those things where it was the first half, you're like, okay, like this is too good to be true. And the second half was like, oh, yep, I told you.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense, like I said, I don't understand making the changes that they did. Again, I understand you have to make adjustments. I'm not stupid like saying you got to do the same thing over and over again. But like at the same time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. And I'm giving credit to 49ers, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
The second half, they changed up everything in their defense, and we'll get to that too when we talk about the Lions offense. Especially, I think Olsen pointed out, but yeah, the fact that they also, I mean, obviously you make adjustments, but they just had the better adjustments.
Yep. And Kyle Shanahan, he's one of the best coaches in the league. Like, he's, because of the talent that John Lynch has put for him on that roster, he'll never win a Coach of the Year award.
No.
But he's up there. He's one of the better coaches in the NFL right now. So, and it feels like every year that his defense coordinator gets hired as a head coach, and then their defense never misses a step.
Right.
So, we're not taking anything away from the 49ers here. It's just two Lions fans being frustrated by basically our version of 28-3 is basically what just happened.
Everyone said that and said that it was just as big. Do you think it was just as big as 28-3? Because I don't.
No, but at the same time, I get it because this was the closest Lions have been to the Super Bowl, and then you have that lead.
Yeah, but that brings up another point, and I kind of heard on from some of the talking heads. Was this a disappointing season for the Lions?
See, I've been thinking about that all day.
I'm going to say no, because we weren't supposed to be here. We were supposed to.
We
were supposed to be a playoff team. We weren't supposed to be in the NFC title game.
That is true.
There's a difference.
And that's when we get to the Lions' future, because one of the tags we have here is Lions' future. So I'll go further into that. But that's kind of why I'm hopeful for the Lions' future, is because this was the year where we were supposed to win the division, and we actually did.
Yes.
So
'Cause I don't
we'll
remember
get
anyone saying that the Lions were supposed to win the Super Bowl this year, and
no,
based on what I heard today is that's what was supposed to happen. No, the Lions were supposed to win the North and be a playoff team, and they did that, so
yeah,
I don't think it was a losing. How they lost, yeah, we can talk about that, how bad it
yeah.
was, how they should have won, but if you were to tell me at the beginning of the season, the Lions
That
would
we'd
be
be
up
this
10.
heartbroken over
Yeah,
an
yeah,
AFC champ or NFC championship game. I'd been
exactly.
I'd been like,
No,
"Oh, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna be heartbroken over the Lions losing an
yeah,
NFC championship game."
yeah.
Like, we got there.
Yeah, we got there. So, alright, I just wanted your opinion on that because I got tired of hearing that of, "Oh, this." I'm like, "We weren't supposed to be this far." Yes, we were supposed to be a playoff team, but we weren't supposed to be in the title game.
I did say though, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or in text messages to people, but at the beginning of the season, I said this team's ceiling is NFC championship game. I don't know if they'll get there, but that's their ceiling. And everyone's
Right.
like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "That's the ceiling of this team. They'll make it to the NFC championship game and they'll run into San Francisco or Philadelphia,
Mhm.
who those two teams at the beginning of the season. Now Philadelphia fell apart the second half of the season,
Yeah.
but those two teams were the cream of the crop in the NFC. I said they're going to run into Philadelphia or San Francisco, and they'll probably play with them for a little bit, but they'll just pull away. And I wasn't totally wrong on that, but I wasn't
Right.
right either. But moving on, we want to talk about the Lions offense now. So again, just like the defense, the first half, you got big plays out of JMO, out of Gibbs, out of Montgomery. You know who had a really quiet game though? There's two of them with really quiet games to both halves was Laporta and St. Brown.
I was gonna
Now,
bring that up.
now I understand like St. Brown, I still think had like 4 or 5 catches, but like it just felt like he just had a quiet game. And I don't know if that was San Francisco's defense saying somebody else beat us, which if that's the case, that's a great game plan because as we could see, Josh Reynolds couldn't make a big play when called upon. And Laporta has been dealing with that leg injury the last
Yeah.
couple weeks. So
So,
uh,
that was also I'll let you finish before I
no, go
give
ahead.
you my thoughts. So, the second half, the thing I was telling my wife is the 3rd quarter is not the Lions' quarter. They
No,
score,
all
like
year long.
all year long, they score, like, 6 points, and this goes back to if you
Kansas
don't know
City.
who Dan Campbell is, you don't know who the Lions are, and the Lions do not play the 3rd quarter for whatever reason. They'll
No.
be aggressive, but they don't play the 3rd quarter. But my thought was, and I think I looked it up because I went through the play-by-play because I had nothing else to do. St. Brown didn't get a target in the second half until 8 minutes and 24 seconds left in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
You cannot win a game when your best player doesn't get a target in the second half, especially
No.
when you were up 24-7 or whatever at the time. He didn't he touched the ball one other time before, and that was the wannabe San Francisco Deebo Samuel, put him in the backfield, let him do something, and
Which
he got a 2-yard run.
which I'm gonna go on that. I'm gonna talk about that play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was 7 minutes, 46 seconds left in the 3rd, I think. So, you didn't target him at all the 3rd quarter. Now, granted, like we said, everyone makes adjustments. Maybe San Fran's adjustments was, "This guy's not gonna beat us." He's too good not to give him a chance. He's This is me being biased, but he's probably the most underrated all-pro wide receiver in the league.
Oh yeah.
Nobody talks about him. Nobody
Nope.
really knows. He's that good. He
Yeah.
really
He's the
is,
real
but
deal.
no one's gonna talk about him. And when you don't give him the ball in the second half until late in the 4th when you're basically running a 2-minute drill to try to give yourself a chance, you're not gonna win that game even though you're up.
Yeah. So it was very frustrating, like you said. St. Brown not getting the ball. Laporta, I understand because he's not 100%. I think at the same time, none of these guys are 100%, but like
At least
he's
they
really not.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but at least they were kept targeting Laporta.
Yeah.
You didn't target St. Brown at all in the second half until the 4th quarter when the game was
Yeah.
pretty much over.
Yeah. So Reynolds needed to catch that ball. Everyone's going to be again saying Dan Campbell cost the game. Well, welcome Reynolds doesn't get any heat for dropping that first down.
Mhm. Well,
If
this
Reynolds,
goes back to the first 4 first fourth down that they went for to basically try to extend the lead in
Stop
the
the bleeding.
first.
Stop the bleeding,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah, and, uh, it was the 4th and 2 one where Goff got pushed out a little bit, tried to reset, throw it, hits Reynolds in the hands, he drops it,
Yeah.
turnover. That leads to San Fran scoring, 2 plays later.
That's not on Campbell, that's on Reynolds for not catching the
Yeah,
ball. Like, they had the
and
perfect play
then
call.
yeah, and then like you said, I think it was a 3rd and 9, as they're driving. Again, ball hits him in the hands, and he drops it, lines at the center of the punting unit or whatever.
Which Reynolds, for the most part this year, has been pretty reliable, so I don't wanna,
Yeah, yeah.
you
I don't
know
wanna beat on too much, but, like, kinda like we've been saying with this Lions second half, missed tackles and drop balls and
and
drop
the
balls
Gibbs
by
fumble.
the offense and
Yeah,
defense. Yeah, and the
yeah.
Gibbs fumble, yeah.
So, you brought it up, and the other thing I wanted to bring up was the St. Brown running play. I
Yeah,
absolutely hated that. Like, I
yeah.
understand you wanna give St. Brown the ball. I am okay with that. If you wanna run a reverse in that play, hey, that's how you give St. Brown the ball in that play.
Mhm.
Lining up in the backfield when you have Montgomery and Gibbs as your running backs, two the best. I don't know if I'd go with the best, but top 3 1-2 duo in the league.
No, they were the best based on yardage. They both had over
Yeah,
1,000 yards from scrimmage.
yeah. I don't wanna sound like a homer though, so that's why I'm not saying they're the
Okay,
best.
well, stats said they
Stats
were the best duo, so
that's
there you go.
stats say they're the best duo in the league. So, and then you're gonna go out with your all-pro wide receiver lined up at running back. Again, if you wanna run the ball with them, do a reverse. I don't care.
Right.
But that play call was not it.
No.
That that one irked me. That was when I was like the rant was starting building up at that point.
Do
It was
you
one of
think
those things.
Do you think
Oh,
they
go
were
ahead.
trying to set up something? They were going I don't remember if that's when they also went for 4th down either way, but do you think they're trying to get something out of it to get that chance to go for 4th down if that came up? Why they would do that? Because we haven't seen that all season. At least I don't remember
No,
seeing him in the backfield.
I don't remember that play at all this season, but
Yeah.
I think at some point you just don't be cute and you just do what's got you here. And
Mhm.
Montgomery and Gibbs running the ball is what got you here, not St. Brown lined up at running back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the last series of the game when they ran the ball at the 2-yard line and everyone's throwing a gasket at them. I didn't mind it.
Right.
That's like, I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you'd like that timeout back, but the passing game has done didn't do a whole lot the second half. The running game was what got the Lions here.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm okay with running the ball. Now it didn't work. Again, it's one of those things of the result wasn't there, so it's the wrong play. But I don't necessarily agree with that. But it is what it is. It was like you said, a heck of a season for the Lions. Um, and again, at the beginning of the season, you said, "Hey, they're going to lose in the NFC Championship game, and you're going to go in a 40-minute rant on why you're upset about it." I'd be like, "No, that's not going to happen."
Right.
So, yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's what it is, and I have a rule, and I basically have a 12 to 24-hour rule because I don't let these games bother me too much because at the end of the day, I still had to go to work today.
Mhm.
Driving around with 2 hours of sleep was a blast, by the way, if anybody was
Right.
wondering. Don't recommend it, but we survived. But,
Another
uh
thing
yeah,
before we keep moving on, do you ever remember feeling like another time like this with the Detroit sports team?
I mean, the Tigers with all those years losing and like that it was, who was it? Was it David Ortiz? Home run
Mhm.
for the cop,
Yeah.
didn't catch the Hunter. That's basically how I feel right now.
Okay.
That's because that I think that team would have won the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
That
saying
they
the
were
Lions beat the I don't think the Lions beat the Chiefs, so I don't know if it's a Super Bowl, but at least they're in the Super Bowl.
right. Yeah, yeah.
I think that Tigers team would win the World Series.
Mhm. I was just curious
So
if you had any how the comparison of how you felt with
I think
time.
that's the closest I can think of. And like I was telling my wife either last night or this morning when we were talking, when I was talking about the game again, she don't care about it, so but she cares about me. for some odd reason. So, but I go, I don't know if I like this or not. Like, I don't know if I'd rather them suck or because I don't like this feeling, but like I don't like them sucking either.
Problem is we never had this feeling where we're
Yes.
this heartbroken about an NFC champion. We've been heartbroken because we haven't won a game 1 year and
Yeah.
this and that, but we haven't been this type of heartbroken of being in the title championship game.
And it's like I texted you the other day. It's kind of weird not worrying about the draft or spring training right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
And now,
normally this time we already have who we want and
like, I
all
couldn't tell
this.
you any. Like, I as a podcast host, I should probably be better about this. I don't know anything about the draft this year. It
The
has
only
not
thing
been on. Like, I know
only
there's
thing
quarterbacks at the top of the draft, but like I have no idea who's gonna be on the board for the Lions. Like,
right.
and we'll talk about like I have a list of their free agents. I'm gonna read to off to you, and I'm not gonna read every single player because there's 50 players on that list.
Right.
But yeah, so it's interesting because it's like they sucked for how long, and now we're in this spot and we're upset. Like, and I don't. If they would have lost this game, like I don't know, like let's say it was a back and forth game and San Francisco had the ball last, I don't think I'm this heartbroken.
Mhm.
I think it's being up 24-7,
Yeah.
and then everything that happened that second half.
For me, it would have to be the first Michigan run in college basketball. You had the foul by Trey Burke, and then you were up. They had the foul, and that was pretty much the game after that. Louisville ended up winning. Like that's how I felt about this game. Is and they're different obviously because it's college and pros, but that's how I was feeling.
So moving on because we're at 42 minutes already, and again we're both running on fumes right now. So what's the Lions' future look like? And after the episode the other night, I gave you this comparison, and you said, "Oh boy, that's scary sounding."
Yeah.
And
After you said that, I'm starting to see it now, and I hope we're both wrong.
I I see it, but I don't.
Yeah.
So the comparison that we gave was the 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars. The 2017 Jacksonville Jaguars went 10-6. They won their division. They made it to the AFC Championship game where they lost to the Patriots 24-20. Now, here's why I have more hope for the Lions than the Jaguars days. The Jaguars offense was Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette. Like, they had okay receivers, but like nothing really were like, hey, that guy's an all pro right there. Like, I looked at their tight ends. There was a couple names I recognized, but like no studs or anything like that. Their offensive line, I mean, they had probably a decent offensive line, but again, nothing you'd really get excited about. Their defense, on the other hand, let's look at their defense. The Pro Bowlers on this team. You had Calais Campbell. You had Yannick Ngakoue. I'm sorry for butchering
That's all
that
right.
one. Malik Jackson, Telvin Smith, AJ Bowie, and Jalen Ramsey. You're all pros. You have Calais Campbell, Telvin Smith, Jalen Ramsey, and AJ Bowie. So basically, they built that team on the defense, and they
Mhm.
didn't touch that offense at all.
Right.
That's why I have more hope for the Lions than the Jaguars, because the first draft, there was Sewell and then St. Brown.
St. Brown. Yeah.
The second draft, you got Rodriguez, you got Hutch. Those were the two big pieces of that draft.
Was
And then you got James
McNeil in
Houston.
that draft?
McNeil might have been the first one.
Okay.
Maybe.
I know, I can't remember which one.
Either
way. Continue.
So, like, what I'm saying here is Brad Holmes has been drafting both offensive and defensive players, and he's been hitting on both offensive defensive players. Now, there's one thing that concerns. I don't know if concerned's the right word. The biggest mistake that Dan Campbell made last night was after the game. And I have not seen video of this. I've not heard audio of this. So I don't know if this was actually said or not. But apparently after the game, he told his team, we may never be back here ever again. And I get it. Like, I get where he's coming from because Dan Marino got to a Super Bowl his first or second year in the league, never got back.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Marino is arguably not even arguably, he is a top 10 quarterback of all time in this league.
Yeah.
You could argue top 5.
Top 5, yeah, definitely. I would argue top 5.
So when a top 5 quarterback in your league goes to the Super Bowl once his first or second year and never comes back, I understand why Dan Campbell said what he said. I don't disagree with him. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard to get there. It's hard to win in this league. And he tells the team all the time that it's hard to win in this league. And it is. And now, and this is kind of like, again, why I see hope for the Lions' future. Because this was the year that they would have failed.
Yeah.
Because last year, they came out of nowhere last year. Like they were 1-6, 1-7, or something like that, and then exploded the second half of the season. And if it wasn't for a meltdown in Carolina, they would have made the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so everyone in football, all offseason, the question was, who's the team that missed the playoffs last year that's making the playoffs? Every talking head out there said the Detroit Lions. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, when they said, pick the divisions, NFC North, Detroit Lions. There's a couple of people that try to get cute and say the Bears or something like that, but most people said the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
So this was the one year where everybody had the target on our back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were the team to beat in the NFC North. And if anybody had any questions about that, they went into Arrowhead and they won. Week 1. They beat the defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs. And, of course, the top cans wanted to put an asterisk by that one because Kelsey didn't play and Chris Jones didn't play. And last I checked, the Kansas City Chiefs played. Not one or two people, but the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
So that's not our fault they didn't play. We played the schedule. We were dealt and we took care of it. That's why I look at injuries and stuff like that. And then they go into Lambeau and they beat up on the Packers. So you go into two places that, historically speaking, teams don't go into and win, and they went into and won. And I went on this rant a little bit the other day, but this is why I have hope for this team, because they were the team to beat, and they couldn't be beat. This was the 10-6 in the playoff win, and everybody was saying it, not just Lions fans. Everybody was saying 10-6 in the playoff win, and they did it. They made it to the NFC Championship game, which, again, at the beginning of the season, we all would have said, hey, that'd be a cool ending, but that's not what's going to happen. They're going to lose to somebody in either the first or second round. That's what's going to happen. They might win one playoff game just to get the monkey off the back, but that's what's going to happen. And then they'll lose in the second round. But nobody ever said, yep, NFC Championship games where Lions are going this year. So I guess I do have a lot of optimism for the future, just because this was the year that they were supposed to fail. Like, this was the year with the pressure.
Yep.
This was the year where the target was on their back, and they succeeded. Now, there are concerns I have for the future. And again, I went on a rant on the group chat, and then before I tried to go to bed last night. And one of the things I said, I didn't go into details on this, but I said I'm not sold on Jordan Love. And I don't know if it's a Packer hater in me saying that. I don't think it is. I think it's a legitimate argument to have here. Jordan Love has been in the league he got drafted the COVID year, I believe. I think he was drafted in the COVID draft. So he's been in the league for this is his 4th year. He has been sitting on that bench for 3 full years, learning Matt LaFleur's system. There's one person on this planet that knows that system better than Jordan Love, and that's Matt LaFleur. And so he's got 3 years of knowledge, and then he goes out there and he's basically got rookie tape on him. Like, nobody's seen him play since college 4 years ago. Of course he's
Right.
going to dominate this year. Like, of course. Like, it makes perfect sense that Jordan Love has a good year this year. Now, if he does it again next year, that's when I'll be impressed. That's just my opinion. I could be, again, full of Packer hate there, but that's my opinion, is he was a rookie with 3 years of experience in the system. Of course he's going to succeed. But, so, you got the Packers to worry about. The Vikings, if they re-sign Cousin, I think they'll actually be a decent team next year. I think they'll be a threat. If I've heard rumors on these clickbait sports pages on Facebook that they're going to try to trade up for one of these young quarterbacks. I hope they do. And the one of the clickbait sports apps say is Drake May. Please do. The last time a North Carolina quarterback won our division, went great for that team. So please do that. I would appreciate that greatly. So, and the other team would be the Bears, which I'm interested to see what the Bears will do. I'm not going to lie. They have a big decision to make with Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. It's one of those things where I don't think there's a wrong answer. Really, I like Justin Fields. I really do. I think he's actually a decent quarterback. Now, if he wasn't in our division, I would actually say Lions, go trade for him. But into the division, you're not going to get that trade, so I'm not even going to bother having that conversation. But like, that's the kind of player I would like to see the Lions have at quarterback, to be completely honest with you.
Someone who's a little more mobile than Jared Goff.
And Jared Goff is sneaky mobile. Like he's not like gonna break away or anything like that, but like he can move around the pocket a little
bit. Throw outside of the pocket.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to have.
It would be. So the division's gonna get tougher. But at the same time, the Lions have a really good team. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the division the next couple of years. Next year, especially. Again, I'm not sold on Jordan Love. I don't know how you feel about him, but that's just, I think he had a good year. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but at the end of the day, he's a rookie quarterback with 3 years.
Sounds like you're taking away.
I am kind
He's
of taking away from him
already. You didn't know that? He's a Hall of Famer already.
Yeah, he is, but like, I think my criticism is legit. I'm just throwing that out there. But nobody wants to have that conversation because it's the Packers. We can't have that conversation. We can't hurt their feelings. Anyways, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. Here's one last thing before I get in too much trouble here. Here's, as of December 1st, 2024, so they might have signed somebody. I haven't heard of anything being signed. I'm going to read to you some names, and you tell me if the Lions bring them back or let them go. C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Let him go.
Romeo Okwara.
He gone.
Graham Glasgow.
I think he'll be back.
Jonah Jackson. These are all free agents, just so you're aware.
Yeah. I think they re-sign him.
Big V's gone. Dan Skipper. I think he's gone. I think that's I like Dan Skipper, but I think that's a position you can fill other ways.
Yep.
For kicks and giggles, I'm going to say Michael Badgley, but like we all both want him gone. Josh Reynolds. Again, I think you can get that position in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Reeves-Maben. There's an interesting name right there for you.
I think they re-sign him.
I do too. Let's see. Craig Reynolds. I think they keep him for like 1 year cheap deal. I think Dan Campbell loves Craig Reynolds. I think that's a Dan Campbell player.
Well, yeah, if he makes more plays like he did the first time they played Tampa Bay that sprung that touchdown.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's a Dan Campbell guy. So yeah, I think they re-sign him. I think Dan Campbell wants to keep him.
And then the last one here that is of relevance, kind of. There's two more. Jerry Jacobs, the cornerback. He's he's restricted. So,
come back to me on that one.
And then the last one is James Houston with exclusive rights.
Those are 2 tough ones.
I know.
Uh,
It's like there's potential in both of them, but, like, they're coming off injuries.
Houston scares me more than Jacobs, to be honest.
Yeah,
But Jacobs, I mean, all the lines, defensive
secondary
backs
scares
were
me. Yeah, atrocious.
liability.
Yeah. They were like Ryan Gosling on, Remember the Titans.
Exactly.
Liability.
I I think they'll resign both of them. I do. But I think
And
they're
that
gonna
and they'll have to
resign
fight for
him
spots.
and yeah, they're more of a, "We need to fill this, but you're gonna have to earn this." Yeah, we're gonna resign you, but we're not guaranteeing you one of the 53 spots.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think both those
So
guys need another prove it year.
we will talk more about what the offseason looks like for the Lions. We are at 55 minutes already, so we're probably gonna wrap this up here. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. I'm sorry for my rants today.
Can I just
Actually,
say
I'm not.
I love when you go on your rants. I will say I enjoyed it a lot being here, just listening to you and giving my 2 cents, but when Brandon, you go on your rants, I I will say this, they are enjoyable. You make good points. You've
I'm
had
entertaining.
entertain yeah, you say what you feel, and that's what I like about that, and you.
Well, that's why I kind of wanted to do this podcast because I was. You turn on. I'm not gonna say networks and things like that, but you turn on the networks and it's all about Travis Kelce and other people now, and nobody's actually giving thoughts. Like it's all just like talking about like off the field stuff, and I'm tired of it. And so I just wanted to
Mhm,
do a podcast on like what actually happened in the game. And I'm a fan, and I'm a passionate fan. I,
mhm,
you're gonna get me in baseball mode here pretty soon, and it's not baseball and football are different modes.
yes.
So like I'm not gonna go in these like deep rants, but like if something happens with the Tigers and I don't like it, I'm gonna tell people I don't like it.
Mhm,
So I'm I'm straight from the hip. I just I'm gonna tell you how it is, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, but most of the
hey,
time it doesn't.
that's
So,
alright.
but thank you guys so much for checking us out. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about I don't remember what, to be honest with you.
Super Bowl
Oh,
preview more than
coaching.
likely. Or
Well,
coaching, yeah. Well,
coaching. We'll talk about the 6 coaches hired, and hopefully we'll have. Actually, not hopefully. I hope the Commanders delay this and don't take Ben Johnson. That'd be awesome. Dan Quinn seems like a nice guy. He should go to Washington. Anyways, moving on. We'll talk to you guys on Wednesday, and then we're gonna be doing this movie series, like I said, here in the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. We're pretty excited about that. I have some ideas to make you guys part of it too, so be sure to check out the Facebook page. We're gonna be really active on that, trying to get more interaction on that. So if you haven't yet, go like that and go subscribe. Be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.